Salvation is for glory. Verses 6 and 7. God who loved us, God who placed us into Christ, is the one, verse 6, who raised us up with him and seated us with him in the heavenly places in Christ Jesus, so that in the ages to come he might show the surpassing riches of his grace in kindness toward us in Christ Jesus. This is just staggering. Back in chapter 1, verse 20, it says that God raised Christ from the dead and seated him at his right hand in the heavenly places. God raised Christ and seated him at his own right hand in heaven. And here it says exactly the same thing about us. He raised us up with him and seated us with him in the heavenly places in Christ. He is at the right hand of the Father, and so are we. Obviously, this hasn't yet happened, but in the purposes of God, the sovereign purpose of a timeless, eternal being, it is done. It is done. Salvation is not about fixing things in this life. Salvation is about glory in the life to come. And in the meantime, enduring the difficulties of this life and counting it all joy when you have to endure them, because the trusting of your faith strengthens it. We were not only united to him in his death and united to him in his burial, as it were, united to him in his resurrection, but we are now seated with him in the heavenlies. It's spoken of as if it already happened, though it hasn't. But what God plans, God does. And we're as good as there. We're in glory. And why? So that he can show the surpassing riches of his grace and kindness toward us in Christ Jesus. That is just beyond comprehension. Why does the Lord want to take you to heaven? So that he can show you eternal kindness. How much grace is that? How much surpassing grace is that? How much surpassingly rich grace is that? That leads loving God to bring us all redeemed sinners into his presence for the sole purpose of seating us on the throne with his Son, making us joint heirs of all that his Son possesses, who is most perfectly loved by the Father, so that we too can be loved by the Father as he loves the Son, and therefore forever and ever God will pour out on us unimaginable eternal kindness. We're the trophies of his redeeming love. We're the trophies of his redeeming grace. And the trophy case is the throne of his Son. And God will forever pour out indescribably surpassing riches of grace. And by the way, it'll always be grace, because we will never deserve to be there. His grace will be on display. And who will be looking at the trophies? The angels. The angels who look into the glory of saving grace. Salvation is from sin by love into life for glory